If you are a melanin-dominant human being, can you be a Buddhist? What is Buddhism? Who do Buddhists worship? Who was Buddha? Does Buddhism have a holy book or holy books? The question we want to answer is, why are you not a Buddhist? Other than the fact that you were born in another country with another religion, why today, with all the information that we have, are you not a Buddhist? The major reason and the foundational reason why you cannot be a Buddhist is spiritual as well as racial age. The oldest religion is African animism, which is about 3.5 billion years ago, where we know and understand that all things, animate and inanimate, possess a spirit or an essence. That's 3.5 billion years ago. Buddhism came 700 BCE, about 2,500 years ago. There is more proof also that 70,000 years ago, our ancestors in Southern Africa were already religious. You can watch this 70,000-year-old sacred snake rock, which is found in Botswana. And Buddhism, as an Indian religion or philosophical tradition, is based on a series of original teachings attributed to Gautama Buddha, who was born 566 and died 486 BCE. Only 2,500 years ago. So it's like an 80-year-old person seeking advice from a two-month-old baby. So you can't stick to that. So what we want to discuss today are a number of topics and expand on them. Why you are not a Buddhist? What is Buddhism? Who do Buddhists worship? Because what we know about others is that Jews worship Yahweh, who is a deity. Christians worship God, the Son, or Jesus. Muslims worship Allah. On the other hand, Muslims reject the Trinity and worship only one deity, but they also have the devils and the jinns. Yet somehow, at the end of the day, Muslims equate their God or their Allah to the Christian God and the Jewish God, who is, according to all teachings, Yahweh, a tribal deity, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, the other fact that we want to look at is, who was Buddha and what Buddhism's holy books teach. Is there a Buddhist Bible? As such, there is the canon known as the Pali canon, Sanskrit canon. So which one is which? And then we'll summarize and find and discover the source about all these religions. First and foremost, I have to look and say the source of the philosophy or moral teaching of Buddhism is predated by the African code known as Unu or Ma'at. We also know definitely that Buddhism started in India, and that India was also known as Eastern Ethiopia because it was populated by melanin-dominant human beings that migrated across from the Horn of Africa, east of Africa today, to India and many, many other islands. That's a fact that has been established across all disciplines, science and orature, as well as morphology. The 5 precepts that are proposed by Buddhism, like I undertake the precept to refrain from harming living creatures or killing, is found in the laws of Ma'at. I will not kill. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not freely given, stealing. You find from the laws of Ma'at, I will not steal. Adultery is also condemned before Buddha was born. You can also read the book by Muata Ashby, the ancient Egyptian Buddha, to define and understand what is Buddhism. Since the oldest religion is the African animistic religion that honors everything that is on earth and created and was created by the Creator, it is these new religions that must show us they are worthy, what they brought. And we all know that they didn't bring anything new, since the moral code already existed thousands of years prior to all these new Johnny came late. Therefore, I won't be drinking muddy waters. I'll go back to drink from the source. Who do Buddhists worship? In Buddhism, they tell us that there is no God in the conventional sense of that word, but they are supernatural beings such as the demigods, the devils, the titans, the ghosts. There is also heaven and hell in Buddhism. But at the same time, they tell us that there is no God, there are no souls. These jinns, these demigods and devils that are talking about, they copied from the source, from ancient Hamid and ancient Africa, where today we can number 2,000 deities, which we can identify. So why would a melanin dominant human being follow Buddhist gods, which tells him to ignore the real creator? Because within Buddhism, there is also Indra, who becomes the divine protector of Buddhism itself, who rules in the heavens over the 33 gods that are proposed by Buddhists. These neatly organized systems, even where they exist, are however only a small part of the story, because the real story that we need to share is that Buddhism follows a truncated version of the ancient truth about the creator. If you compare what our ancestors taught concerning the creator and the chasm, you will find that they are truncated here and they follow all which is at the bottom, and they can't go above because there is a chasm. They have no perception of the chasm, but it's there, as we have already proved. You can read our book, The Creator or God, to find the real problems of adopting the noble truths of Buddhism. Once more, this is why a melanin dominant person cannot follow Buddhism. When you ask the question, who was Buddha, you are met with lies, academic gymnastics. Let us remind each other that if anyone lies on this point, you don't need to follow them. This is one reason why you should never follow Buddhism. Did you know that, according to MRI Imhotep here, studies have shown that modern Europeans and their genetic markers only appeared on the earth 3,000 years BCE, which means that prior to that, and prior to that date, there were no Europeans on earth. Therefore, there is no civilization on earth that you can pinpoint to them, because they came about through the genes SLC24A5 and SLC45A2. Therefore, the DNA science which they have proposed themselves and discovered themselves proves that black people have been here on earth 3.5 billion years ago. Therefore, ancient India and the society that began that civilization, the Dravidians, came from Africa and came from the genes and gene pool of melanin dominant human beings. So when you trace who is Buddha and ask who is Buddha, the black history, the world is being kept from understanding that the original Australians, original Asians, original Indians, original people in all the Pacific Islands were melanin dominant human beings. Therefore, if anyone teaches you a Buddha who looks like this, who distorts the true history of the original Buddha, the original race, the original sources of the teachings, that gives you one more reason why, if you are a melanin dominant human being, you must not be a Buddhist. Let's ask, what do other scholars teach? We look in the book of Beginnings by Gerald Massey, volume 1. He says, it is certain that the black Buddha of India was imagined in the Negro type. In the Negro god, whether called Buddha or Sut, Nahas or Nehesi, we have the datum. In other words, the standard. They carry their color in the proof of their origin. The people who first fashioned and worshipped the divine image in the Negroid mold of humanity must, according to all knowledge of human nature, have been Negroes themselves. For blackness is not merely mystical. The features and the hair of the Buddha belong to the black race, and the Nehes is the Negro name. Therefore, that alone gives you the foundation to know that the original Buddha was supposed to have been black, because the original statues of Buddha clearly show him to be an African with his wide nose, thick lips, and nappy hair or peppercorn hair. In most Asian temples throughout Asia today, you find this Buddha being worshipped, these statues being there, and these images which are shown with black jet features and African features. Meet the real Buddha here, because this is the hairstyle. The Bantu knots, known as the Bantu knots, are the hairstyles of melanin dominant human beings that you can find also on the images and statues of the Buddha. Did you know that the first and second Buddha were black people? From there, they started to colorize them and change them. Therefore, anyone who does not refer to these facts is teaching a lie. And that is why you should never be a Buddhist. Let's give more reasons why, if you are a melanin dominant person, you should not be a Buddhist. We know that their sacred text is called Tripitaka, which was written in ancient Indian language called Pali, which is very close to the language that the Buddha himself spoke. The Tripitaka is a very large book. From it, we learn first the truncated philosophy of their God. Some may applaud Buddhism because it gives them a spiritual experience without the need to believe in a supreme being. Yet Buddhists believe in miracles and magic. They use spells and the charms. Where else do you get spells? From the book of Coming Forth by Day, from us. They believe in the power of the mantras, prayer, or repeating words. Where else do you get that? From totemic poetry, which is melanin dominant way of praising your totems. You also know that no genuine researcher would be comfortable with any of these superstitions and credulously go on to ignore the invisible nameless creator. No, you believe in the nameless creator because he's the source of everything, but goes beyond the chasm. The surprising revelation about Buddha himself is that he was a Hindu. Buddha was born in a Hindu family. Buddhism is a form of Hindu reformation. Buddha means the one who is fully awake, transformed. Remember Kepera. Yet his mother was named Maya, which is a melanin dominant word which means nothing, or something is passed on, or something is an illusion. Are we being told indirectly that Buddha himself is an illusion, as is his religion? Think about that. They also carry a confused soul science. To understand Buddhism, it is necessary to understand the 5 key concepts of Anatman, Skandhas, Karma, Samsara, and Nirvana. Anatman is the doctrine of no self. They say you don't exist. They reject the concept of the soul, but also they reject the self, the ego, and the you. They say you don't exist. They say you are an illusion. Yet the same Buddhists eat, go to the toilet, drink, marry, and have kids, which is a contradiction in practice. They speak about nirvana, and they want to say it is different from heaven because it's a blow like bliss where you blow away all pain and suffering. But it's similar to eternity. It's similar to paradise. Why would they speak of nirvana? Because they stole from the source and they had a truncated perception of the original. They teach about Dharma. Buddhists teach that they must follow a certain path, a certain old path to become like the Buddha himself, to walk like him, to believe like him, to attain nirvana. They expect you to live in accordance with the Dharma. This is a word with so many meanings, but universally it is the connection to the moral laws of nature. Think about Mahati. The Buddhist heaven itself is described as having 26 mansions, which are called pure abodes and are reserved for non-returners. In other words, those people that are not going to be reborn. Think they're teaching this, but they have said there is no soul. They say there is no divinity, there is no creator, there is no supreme being. So why are they teaching about this heaven? This gives you more reasons why, if you're a melanin dominant human being, you should never follow this belief system. So let's look at this, who copied who, when we look at Dharma and the 8 factors that concern Dharma. When you look at the 8 factors that concern Dharma, I want to quickly advise you that go and read the 10 virtues that were taught to our ancient ancestors and scholars in Hamid. I'll pick one here so that we manage our time. The 10 virtues, one of them says, I will control my thoughts. And when you go here, you will find right thinking. Let me pick another one. I will control my actions. If you find that one, right action. You can go on and on. You find that they will have 8. They are all there. Such plagiarism gives us more reasons why, if you are a melanin dominant human being, you must not follow this. Go to the source. When you look at meditation or yoga, and a lot of us are going into meditation thinking that they are doing it right, did you know that yoga was practiced in ancient Kemet earlier than in any other place in the world? Kemetic yoga was a discipline that was part of Kemetic spiritual system called Shitauteneta, the way of the hidden supreme being. It is the basis of Kemetic yoga and the measure of almost all religions today. So go to the source. That gives you the reason why you should not follow Buddhists and why you should not study their meditation. The roots of yoga can be traced thousands of years to Africa. This image that we are showing here is the one form. You can see it's a melanin dominant human being. This pose is known as the plow position. So these are more reasons why, if you are a melanin dominant human being, you must not be a Buddhist. Go to the source. Why should you be a Buddhist? And no reasons. Once you find the source where Buddhists copied, you should ignore their muddied waters. Since Buddhism developed from Hinduism, it is very clear that according to their Dharma, they have promoted the caste society. Since Buddhism borrowed from Hinduism, and Hinduism is connected with the caste society or caste system, apartheid, segregation, it is a satanic obscenity for anybody to find no other reason other than this to follow Buddhism. Though the caste system is not, in fact, an inevitable product of Buddhism itself, its culture has given rise to the caste system, and it stands condemned because it thrives and has never condemned the horrors, the suffering, the discrimination, the elitism, contempt, and all oppressive systems of the wealth and ruling orthodox in India. It is associated with the existence of the underclass of the untouchables. That is a major reason why you should not follow this religion. At the end of the day, we can give more reasons why you are not inclined and because you do not have an obligation to become a Buddhist because of these facts. These are the pictures of ancient Buddha, the Black Buddha. He was a revolutionary, a freedom fighter, a prince who fought against the Euro-Aryan Hindu caste system that oppressed and exploited the indigenous black Indians, the Dravidians. This is what you should follow, not the religion, but the principles that are completely different, separate from Buddhism, the source. This is how we got here. It is because we revealed the source and taught the foreigner the source of our power. And then immediately after that, we started to follow them and their watered down version of our original ways. If you neglect researching your history, you cannot complain when other races steal it, rebrand it, and claim it as theirs. You can see on here, on this posture of yoga, Sebek M. Inu in Kushite Kemetic Sesh, the scribe, in his meditation pose, the earliest example which has never been given to you. Buddha in Kushite Kemetic scribe meditation here, who appears 200 BCE in India, stealing from you, and now you go and learn from them. In any case, his pose is totally, completely different. These are some of the few reasons that we can give why you must not be a Buddhist. For more information, you can email us on john@marfado.com. Till we meet again, your manager to be Priest Rabbi LM to Mr. saying, stick to the source, and the source is there for you from 3.5 billion years ago. Amen.